Thanks very much for the opportunity to speak about this agile development. I'll just say I'm an occupational therapist by profession, and I've worked in both the acute hospitals and community care. And I started this agile journey back in 2005. To date, I've developed over 45 solutions into the HSE using low-code tools. And that was mentioned earlier on, so we call them pro low-code tools. What we realize is that there is a demand gap for for software in health industry, and that was mentioned earlier on as well, which causes a major problem because there's a pent-up demand being created, but there's no solution for it. But what we've done is we have actually found practical innovations in both data sharing, because we pay attention to the latest technologies and we're working with the mobile developments. To coin one of the phrases of, mentioned to me earlier on today from John Hume, he mentioned about a single transferable speech that he would give all the time. Write once and present often, because the message is still the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and transfer that idea into software development. So setting the scene here, what we look at historically, conventional software, and you can see on the right there, it would kind of take a long time. You'd be hampered by goals, meetings, targets, etc. What we noticed was that it would be 10% engagement with the business and 90% development and debugging. On the agile side of things, what we saw was it was reversed, it flipped. We could spend 80% engagement and 20% development and debugging. Looking at areas like early engagement, going on to the business needs, identified, design and development, manage expectations, which is a big problem but also a challenge, prototyping and deployment, and then allows you to analyze the output and do any tweaking and move on. What we saw using this methodology was that it improved the user experience. This helped us with increasing the take-up of the technology and also the adoption of the system. A lot of the times the people that we were dealing with wouldn't have even opened up a computer. They'd have been provided with a device, but it would still be lying 2 years later. They'd still be on paper and pencil. Now, regardless of the solution, that is still a major hurdle that has to be overcome within the organization. You can see there's a quote there from the King's Fund that we need to give people permission to do stuff. We need to invest in it. And we also need to give them some time to do it. We need to give them the data and we need to give them some tools, effectively a recipe book. On the left there, you can see that if you want to set off-the-shelf purchase against bespoke design and procurement or agile in-house, there are huge benefits in both money and time that you can make. Speed matters because you sometimes need to turn around things very quickly. Time matters, cost matters, engagement definitely matters, but also business knowledge. You don't want to suffer the Chinese whispers where you're trying to present something to a developer that actually knows nothing about the business, and then they come back with a square peg, but you want it into a round hole. There is a lot of times there's an urgent need because it's an immediate, something needs to be done, produced at that time. It needs to be modular and iterative with the users. You have to be able to do that. But you also need to be able to beta test the concept, because a lot of the times, and this is where I was fascinated about the open EHR, a lot of the work that I do is taken up by major systems, but we build the skeleton for any system that's going to come in after us. This is just a improvements come to you faster. That's one thing that I've learned from Agile development, is that once you start going down, you get this build-up of steam. It's like a snowball going down a hill. You actually, people engage with you, they come back to you, they say, can you try this? Because the time differential between getting an idea, adopting it, producing it is a lot shorter. So the cycle is much, much quicker. So from an integrated development program, what do we use? Well, the HSE, we've got a HSE Agile Development Hive, and you see on the right hand side there are a series of now their applications, their systems that are in the actual in the HSE that we have created, and they are. I'll go through some of them. You might know, I've heard of one of them, which is an important one, which is the Trollegar. It produces a report on a daily basis from all acute hospitals around the country on the number of people on trolleys. And you'd hear reporting in the news. We developed these systems both to be standing independently, but also to be interconnected. So from the open EHR perspective, we're working on a single platform. So we're not kind of going off like the red arrows or the four winds. Be under no illusion that agile development doesn't mean weak or trivial development. The resilience of the system, like the Trollegar there, that was built back in 2012. It's still in existence, there is nothing replacing it, and it serves about 2,000 users on a daily basis. COVID and the advent of the pandemic, that presented what you would call both an opportunity and also highlighted a weakness within the development system. What we saw, we were tasked with providing solutions rapidly to the business to report on COVID, both in the acute setting and also, which was much more important, in the community setting. When I said acute, I'm talking about the acute hospitals. Community, I'm talking about community nursing units, private nursing homes, prisons, direct provision centres. Anywhere there are patients within the community, we produced a solution to monitor and collect the data and report on it. That took us 2 weeks from start to finish to deploy out across the country. Totally unheard of. That also that included manual training and debugging of the system. And you'll hear every day on the news how many people have COVID within hospitals or many in the community. We provide that feature and those figures. There are other ones there which I won't go into, but we have other supporting software for other programs within the organization. How do we do this? We're using a product called Filemaker, or Claris Filemaker, as it's now known. It's an Apple company, and it's the infrastructure that we utilize to achieve this agile development. It allows us to manage less, to build faster, and we also have less to maintain. It gives an opportunity for visual workflows and visual storyboards. The ecosystem allows us to access legacy data, both to share data both ways, to and from legacy data. So we can build once and deploy to many. So as with John Hume, we do it once and we can use it multiple times. It also gives us the opportunity for deployment onto the web, mobile, full client, and also share with other systems. We build visually and we layer on top of that, on top of a separate data source. Our development program utilizes a lot of different engagement methodologies where we coming from the clinical side of things, there was no translation required from my side because I knew the business firsthand. So business engagement, I was talking their talk at the time of the initial engagement. We do diagnostic and manage expectations, define the project implementation plan, develop prototype and deploy, and then review and evaluate. That doesn't mean that we hand it over. We also hold the hand. We have quality improvement methodology. we've got manuals, we've got change management principles that we work through a program called the 5 Fundamentals that we developed as well. So, as I said, we improve the user experience, but we also allow the users to go on the journey with us, which is unique because a lot of the times the users become a hindrance in software development. But if you allow them to come on the journey, there's greater acceptance, but there's also, no matter how many people see a system and engage with a system, you're always going to learn something new. And you're also always going to pick up, yeah, we could do something different there. We could actually make something better rather than just trotting out the same thing over and over again. Finally, just a couple of things here. From eHealth Ireland, we believe that agile development should be a key component of the eHealth agenda. And from the Sláinte Care implementation strategy, they stated that without the development of a series of clinical enablers, the Sláinte Care vision will remain aspirational. Thank you very much. Hope I'm run over time.
Great. No, John, that was bang on time. And thank you for a fabulous talk. And, just to repeat that, John and a small team, they developed over 40 applications, using this, platform, and hugely productive. I really liked the slide at the start, which talked about, Agile being about 80% engagement and 20% sort of about programming. It's really true, and it dramatically lowers the risk. So John is one of the unsung heroes in the health service, John, and we really appreciate and recognize the work that you've done. Legend has it that Leo Varadkar, as health minister, had you on speed dial, and you would every morning get a call on the trolley status.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. So no, thanks so much, John, and we hope to have you back at a future event. And it's a really one of those spotlights. We think of the HSE as being slow and lethargic and inability to execute, but what John and his small team do is just really rapidly turn around these invaluable solutions. And as you mentioned, the COVID statistics actually come from John's platform. So thank you, John.